Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one now. Spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Spirituality. Oh, now we get real. Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get down. Yeah, you gonna feel good now. Real good. Now, that's what I'm talking about. Time to get real.
Oh, yes, it is time to get real today, and not like the song says you're going to feel good right now. I have a feeling that some of you are not going to feel good right now. Welcome to the show, Reality Spirituality. I'm your host, Rebecca Lynn Norrington, and thank you, as always, for being part of the show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for telling your friends. Thank you for the emails. This is going to be a show unlike no other show because ever since probably before the election, but definitely after the election, I have been one angry happiness specialist. And let me explain, because it's not going to be why you think. Trust me. When I say angry, I say that tongue-in-cheek because that emotion, anger, is really very interesting. It's a learned emotion, angry at something that has happened that is outside of who I am, and now I'm angry. Now I'm upset. Now I'm pissed off based on what has happened. That's the kind of anger I'm talking about. This anger that is rooted in illusion. What? My anger isn't rooted in illusion. It's real. That guy got elected to the presidency. It's real. Okay, here we go. But before I go into the topic and I get my feathers ruffled up again, I just want to share with my listeners, my new listeners, who I am and the purpose of this show. The show is Reality Spirituality, the truth about happiness, and that's what I talk about. And when I say happiness, I'm really talking about an individual, a personal contentment, a personal peace, a feeling inside that you know that regardless of what's going on, regardless of what's happening, you're centered, you're at peace, also known as being happy. And that's what that's really the purpose of the show, is how to maintain that feeling regardless of what happens on the outside. My definition of happiness is I'm happy regardless of what happens and regardless of what doesn't happen. Because it's not what happens that indicates, it's not what happens outside. It's not the things, it's not the circumstances, it's not the situations. It's not this presidential election that has the power to shift my energy to being sad, fearful, bitter, angry. I know I use the word angry, but it has nothing to do with that outside. It has something to do with what's going on internally, and there is nothing that has that much power unless we give it power. Now, one of the things that really, really bothers me about the aftermath, and I'm really talking about the aftermath of this election, and this is in no particular order, because I'm freestyling now, and you know when I freestyle, I can just get going. Oh, and let me say this. If you want to join the conversation, please, if you agree, you disagree, because I've invited a lot of people on the show with me today, and some people are responding, and some have not. And the majority, I would say 98% of the people that are, quote, unquote, that talk and teach a different way, supposedly a higher level of living, shall we say. I can use that spiritual community. But I have to say that community is all shaken up also. People are shaken up, and I'm upset because people are so shaken up. Why am I upset? Because people are so shaken up? Not because of the choice. I'm upset because where are all the people practicing walking the walk? Talking the talk, yes, but where are you walking the walk? You know, let me just start from the beginning. Also, you can call in and speak with me live, area code 646-564-9619. Call in to speak with me live or to join the conversation. And put your seatbelt on because I'm about to hit some balls out of the park here. Number one, I'm in California, and there are protests. We've actually had a police officer attacked. I don't remember if they were killed, but attacked. Handcuffs taken during one of the protests. So we have people that are protesting, and listen, people can protest and say and do and feel however you want. Now, destruction of property, what is this destroying property? See, this is the issue. People are blaming this presidential election. People are blaming their anger or their imbalance or their frustration, and they want to protest. They're calling it. They're saying it's because of the election. I'm here to tell you right now, the people. It's not that your anger is not coming because of this election. What happens is it's just an ongoing learned behavior. You're upset. You're angry. You're pissed off. You disagreed with what happened, but you're going to blame it all on the election. And I say that is not the truth. Whatever is happening inside of you, whatever is going on, all of this anger and frustration, has nothing to do with an election. It has something to do with you. See, the hard part of this whole show, and one of the reasons why one of the reasons, well, who knows? I don't know one of the reasons why. One of the reasons why I'm not even going to try to figure out one of the reasons why. It's a universal reason. And see, that is the key. There are universal reasons for everything that is happening, everything that has happened and everything that will happen. It's all there are universal reasons. Now, what the problem is, people think that the things that are happening, the elections, okay, here we are. Let's just start with this. One of the reasons why people are so angry, and I'm not even talking about, because I'm going to hit on both sides, the quote winners, the people that won, and also the people that quote unquote lost. You know, and it's both sides. So I'm going to hit both sides today. One of the biggest problems, okay, I'm bouncing all over the place. Let me just start with this. There are foundational elements to keeping this peace, sustaining this peace, maintaining this peace, this thing that I call happiness. There are actually behaviors that have to be practiced. When you have cracks in your foundation, then you're not going to have a solid foundation. You're not going to have anything to fall back on. And some of the foundational tools for remaining at peace and being happy and having this contentment feeling is, number one, not pointing the finger and not blaming anything else for your feelings and your emotions. Taking responsibility for how you're feeling. That's number one. There is no responsibility other than that person in the mirror. There's no responsibility other than that person right there in the mirror. You are responsible for your emotions. You are responsible for how you're feeling. You pick and choose. And if you're feeling angry and upset and fearful and sad and confused and pissed off and all of that stuff because of this election, if you're feeling any of those, it's only because it's only because of your perspective. See, you can shift your perspective at any time to feel better at any time. But what happens is let me just speak for myself. What happens is I didn't know how to shift my perspective. I got into a situation and I could only look at it one way. I could only see it one way. So that's number one. And that means that the practicing the shifting your perspective, in practicing shifting your perspective to find a different place where you can feel differently about what's happened, it's your responsibility to do that. And if you don't do that, and if you're okay with feeling however you want to feel, sad, upset, betrayed, fearful, whatever those labels are, then that's a choice too. But whatever you choose is your contribution to this planet in that moment. Now, you can say, I want to feel sad, let me feel my anger, let me feel my frustration, yeah, you can feel it. You can feel all of it. And that's exactly what you are contributing during those times. It's up to you. The reason why both sides are looking at it like the people that won are happy, and they're thinking that they're happy because of the election. So whenever you decide to choose, whenever you use your emotions or allow your emotions to lift you up or down based on any outside forces, trust me, there's going to be times when you're going to feel great, and there's going to be times when you're not going to feel not so great. That's what happens when you allow anything external to be in charge of your feelings and your emotions. Now, that's a choice in any moment. Now, people will say, well, it's just natural. No, it's not. It's not natural. You were taught. To hook your feelings on what's happening, to feel a certain way based on what's happening. I talked to my soulmate yesterday, and he said to me, he says, you know what? I'm the happiest sad person ever, because we all go through these things. But the foundation is this. Another thing. So number one, nobody's practicing changing their perspective. And is there a way to look at the same results, quote, the same results in a positive way, something that is going to be uplifting to the planet? Is there a way to look at this election like that? I contend yes, and let me tell you how. Whether you believe it or want to believe it or not, there is an order to everything that has happened, everything that's unfolding. There is an order to it all. Now, you either trust in that order or you don't. You either trust that things are unfolding the way that the universe has it planned, or you don't. And when you don't, you feel like, oh, there's something wrong here. There's something that's this really means that A, B, and C is going to happen in the future. Now, if you are out there, and I'm talking to all of my fellow spiritual community, if you will, I've said it before and I've said it again, and I've got people disagreeing and agreeing. It doesn't matter. Having a preference will always subtract from your happiness. Having a preferences subtract. And why? Because what if your preference doesn't happen? Now, my hand is up. I voted in this election. I'm not going to say whether I voted for him or her. That's not even the point. Did I have a choice? Did I make a choice? Yes. But attaching my feelings to the outcome of that choice, absolutely not. Because number one, I've had to do it in my own personal life. Stopping having preferences and thinking that I know more, thinking that I know what's better for me than the universe is ludicrous. And that's why these things that happen to me, my challenges, a month later, a week later, 6 months later, a year later, I can find the good in all of it. I can find what's good in being disinherited. I can find what's good in having health challenges. I can find what's good because I practice looking for that. And if I can't find it, if I can't say, oh, I see, I understand the plan, universe. Then I don't care if I can find it. I still trust that the universe's plan is better than, or has a, in other words, I don't even want to say better. The word isn't better, but it is the plan. The universe's plan is the all-being, all-knowing, all-seeing plan. Who the hell am I to think that I know more, or this is good, or this is all wrong, or this happened and it wasn't supposed to happen, not supposed to be like this. Well, let me say this. This personalizing the election is another issue and another problem, and a lot of people that I've listened to have personalized this election, meaning that they have personal things that let's see, how do I say that? I have so much to say, I can't even get it out. I'm stumbling over my own lips. Jeez. Okay, hold on. Let me slow down. Personalize this election, and let me just throw this out there. There are certain, how do I say this? There are certain, the candidates can't be any different. Let me just use, instead of using Democrats, let's just use Democrats. Let's just say this: the parties on their face have totally separate agendas. Okay, from the abortion issues to gay marriage issues to what else? To Greenpeace issues, there's one side that usually represents this and the other side represents that. Well, when you personalize any of those issues, whether it's Greenpeace, whether it's the environment, whether it's gay issues, whether it's border issues, or what was the other one I said? Anyway, when you personalize, in other words, when you make those causes so important and so personal to you, trust me, you're going to hit the wall. You're setting yourself up for a fall. This election, just like this life and this world, is not a personal place. When you personalize anything, you're setting yourself up for another fall. My mother disinherited me. Me. Did I take that personally? Hell yeah, I took it personally. Was it personal? No, it was not. Did I take it personally when it happened? Yes, I did. Was it personal? No, it wasn't. And I'll tell you why. That had to happen. The universe set it up. This woman didn't do anything to me. It was a universal plan for me to grow from that. See, it's never personal, people. You can when you say it's personal, just like one of my students in my happiness class this session, and he's already disowned his sisters, and he doesn't have any sisters anymore, and the hell with the sisters because they did something to him, probably stole something, did something that's so unspeakable he can't even talk about it, but he's taken it personally, and he got to the point and he says, I'll never forgive them. Let me hit you up with another example. You've heard him on the show. Sid Cartwright, he's been on the show. Well, his mother was killed by a drunk driver, and she didn't die right away. She suffered in the car, so it wasn't a hit and she was dead. No, she suffered. Was that personal? See, as long as and he'll talk about it. Anyway, as long as you personalize something, you're not going to be happy. This world is not personal. Earthquakes hit, tsunamis hit, rain, mudslides. It's never personal. What happens is not personal. Even if somebody says, okay, you ready for this? Even if somebody really wants to sabotage you. Maybe you're in an office setting and you have some coworkers that are really sabotaging your work. Who knows? Even that's not personal. It's a setup, people. It's a setup. It's a setup for you to learn and to unlearn the things that are true and what's not the truth. When I went to the welcome, you can press 1 if you want to speak with me live. When I went to my class last week, it was on a Thursday, the happiness class, and I said, okay, raise your hand if you're upset about this election. And of course, half the class raised their hand. And I could feel the anger in the class, in the people that raised their hand. And so I engaged. I said, okay, why? And one person just kept saying, he's an idiot. He's disrespectful for women, and he's an idiot. And honestly, the person said it at least 6 or 7 times, wanting me to react. See, whatever you look at somebody else and whatever you see, idiot, racist, I think you said misogynist, whatever you see, whatever you label, whatever you define, whatever you describe someone else, get ready to have all those terms right back at you. These people that are saying, and I'm not defending anyone, trust me, that are saying someone's a racist. If you look at anybody else and say you're a racist, trust me, you're the racist. The other thing is acceptance. It's so difficult to accept someone else with a totally different point of view. And I mean extreme. You can't get any more extreme than this election. And there is no acceptance going on here for the other side. I'm not just talking about one side. I'm talking about both sides. There's no acceptance. And there's no acceptance because I'm so tired. There's no acceptance because people are not practicing acceptance of self. Both sides, either side, you name either side. I don't agree with half the things on either side at all. But I accept that there is a reason why people come to the conclusions that they conclude. They come to their opinions and their values. They come to this. Who am I to say that their values and their opinions are off? There's a reason. Just as strong as you have your opinion and your reasons, so do they. And let me even get to, this is going to sound really crazy. Even the people, this is going to sound really crazy, because there's a difference between acceptance and being compatible. Just because you're not compatible with a certain energy does not mean that you can't accept that energy. But what has happened is because you're not compatible, meaning that you can't accept. And I'm saying that for myself because it took me forever to even get this concept. Just because somebody or something is not compatible with you, and you wouldn't have chosen a certain way or different way of living or different thoughts, a different behavior, or you wouldn't have chosen this particular cause to back or to support, doesn't mean that their choices or the other people's choices it's just acceptance. Now, does this even go to, because I asked the universe questions on this. Trust me, this is not easy, because now we get to, well, what about the people that cut heads off? And what about the people that I don't even need to say anything other than that, right? What about those people? My dear audience, I do not pretend to understand a greater plan. I do not pretend to understand why. But I know for a fact, and I trust and I practice, that if it is happening, it's supposed to happen for whatever greater reason, bigger purpose. If it is happening, it's supposed to be happening. And my human brain, my human mind can't comprehend all the reasons. I don't know why it's so. I sure wouldn't have designed it this way to be okay with anybody. To accept that people are going to get their heads cut off. That wouldn't be my world if I was choosing a world or choosing to design a world. I wouldn't have designed it like that. But for some reason, and by the way, I got somebody on my side too. You know, that guy Jesus H. Christ. I'm sure when he was here, he didn't want to design that way. He didn't want to get crucified. But it's a bigger plan. And that's all I'm saying. This is not a show about religion. It's about a show about what's the truth. And the truth is there is a divine plan. Ask yourself this. Do you trust that there's a divine plan or not? And if you trust, there's no reason for any anger or being upset or any kind of reaction after, if you trust. See, it always comes back to the person in the mirror. Now let's go back to this other concept. We talked about, let's talk about attachments. Now, I definitely had a choice in this election. But what I didn't do is attach myself or attach any kind of emotions to an outcome. And let me tell you why. My student, the one in happiness class, kept just couldn't believe that I wasn't upset or I didn't get angry, I wasn't pissed off, or I wasn't bothered by the person that was elected. And I'll tell you why. And I don't remember. I was going to look up the year, but I don't remember it. But it was years ago. I think it was in the 1990s. Remember that man named O.J. Simpson? Well, during that time, I wasn't working during the day. I'll never forget it because I was working in the evenings, and I was able to stay home, and I watched that trial. That trial went on for, I think it went on for almost a year, 9 to 10 months. I don't remember now, but trust me, that was my form of every day. I watched that trial. I bought Vincent Bugliosi's book. I bought another book after it. I mean, that O.J. Simpson thing, I was obsessed. I was obsessed with the crime. I could not believe, because I was a big football fan. And O.J. Simpson, when I was growing up, was a huge, huge, huge name. And only nice, good things were said about O.J. Simpson. And I'll never forget talking to one of my, I think it was a friend of mine during the time, and I said, no, there's no way he could have done this, no way. And he said one thing, he says, never say never, you never know. I'm telling this story because as the evidence started coming out, my quote-unquote football hero, one of my football heroes, was on trial for murder. Now, I don't care, for me, who you are or how much I've loved you. If I see evidence that you murdered two people, sorry, you're off my bandwagon. And I believed, based on the evidence, that O.J. Simpson was guilty as you know what. Sin. Guilty. But the crazy thing here in Los Angeles, in California, that opinion was divided right down racial lines. Now, I'm not saying all people. No, I'm not saying all. But it was divided. And honestly, I went through hell with people. I had friends from high school that I was so close, from high school. And we had a disagreement about OJ, and we didn't speak for years after that. Because he thought OJ was innocent, and I thought OJ was guilty. And if you thought, do you realize that I even said this out loud and I meant it? How could I even be friends with anybody that thinks O.J. Simpson is innocent? So I remember thinking that, very passionate, and I lost that friend. Not only did I lose that friend, when I say lose a friend, it was by design. I didn't lose anything. That's what I'm telling you, people. By design, he wasn't supposed to be in my life for the few years that he wasn't. That's just the whole design. Everything is a design. But the best one was my cousin. That's right, relative, who, when I was younger, looked up to this guy forever. When he was in high school, he would write me letters. We were so close. Did I say he was my first cousin? And I'll never forget the time he came to visit because he didn't live in California. And I had my Vincent Bugliosi tapes, and I had my books, and I had all of my, proof and evidence. And he didn't want to hear it. He didn't want to hear the evidence. And got so angry at me. I got angry at him. He got angry at me. That was back in the 90s. He still doesn't speak to me. Now, I've tried. So I'm saying all this to say that I've lived both ways. I've lived with causes. I've lived putting everything, all of my emotions in, and I knew I was right, and I knew it was important, and I knew that O.J. Simpson verdict was serious, and I personalized it. Did I tell you I didn't want to have anything to do with anybody that didn't agree that O.J. Simpson was guilty? So you see what I'm saying? It's coming from that same place, not to mention presidential elections prior to this. Being invested in an outcome, being invested in anything outside of self is a formula for disaster and a formula for unhappiness. It's just a matter of time. Trust me. It's just a matter of time. So now what? I vote and I let go. And I know that whatever happens is going to be the destiny of this country. See, the country has a destiny too. And not one man or not one woman can change it or make it different than its destiny. One of my students said to me in the class, is so angry, says, he's a president of this country. It's going to affect you in some way. It's going to affect you. Don't you care? Why are you so oblivious? And I'm telling you this. There is no way that any man or woman can affect anything that the universe, that the divine has not okayed. Because if it happens, it's supposed to happen. And if it doesn't happen, it's not supposed to happen. So he's the president of this country? No. God is the president of this country. The universe is the president of the country. This is just a man. And it's going to be your choice whether or not you get all involved in, oh, woe is me. And what are you contributing? And there are certain people, I guess there were some celebrities said, well, I'm leaving, I'm getting out of the country. If he's elected, then what? See, this is the thing. So you make the announcement that you're leaving, and what is that going to do? Or is the announcement, see, this is the thing. I know who you are. I know your character, not when the sun is shining, but when it's raining, okay? I know who you are when it rains. So when it rains, people will say, well, I'm not living in this country. I'm leaving the country. Well, then go. Leave. when it rains, it means what are you contributing? Which, okay, so then leave. And if you don't want to leave, then what you're going to do is just going to complain, and you're just like the person you're complaining about. You see, the solution is always peace. If that's what you want for this country, if that's what you want for this world, who is going to be the example of peace? Or are you going to be the example of, I didn't get my perspective, and let me tell you, no, I didn't get who I wanted, and now the other people are so bad, so evil, so wrong. Now, there's both sides. Let's talk about the other side. The people, the winners, the people that are gloating, the people that are, see, both sides. It's not about one side or the other. I'm looking at everybody's contribution to this planet. How much acceptance is there? How much are you accepting others? I can't do it by myself. Actually, yes, I can. But when you stand and you choose sides and you draw a line in the sand and you choose the side that you think is quote unquote better or higher, and I'm talking about both sides here, people, both sides, not just one. When you choose and you separate yourself from the others, then that's what you're doing. You're helping to create the separate world. You're helping to create the separation as opposed to unity. It's easy to not accept and get angry and to separate yourself from them. But see, the universe, the sun shines on the evil, and I say evil with quotes because the sun shines on everyone, the Pope and the serial killer. The problem is when each individual decides that one way is right and one way is wrong, then you're separating yourself. Oof. I got to check my notes and see what else okay, hold on a second. Oh, and this is the other thing I forgot I didn't bring up. Now, the people that are upset and looking toward the future, scared, sad, afraid, what is this, all their fear, all their anxiety, all that stuff is well, what is that coming from? It sounds like it's coming from a place that's not the present moment. Anytime you're living in the past or in the future, you're actually subtracting from your happiness, unless you're thinking about the past and you're just having a wonderful memory. But if you're thinking about the past and you're thinking about what somebody else did to you or said to you that you're still pissed off over, same thing with this election. It's over. It's done. It's over. It's over. It's done. It's over. Hello. It's over. It's the next day. And your focus is on the future. Get ready for another crash. The only reality is the present moment. And the people that are into the future and this is going to happen and woe is me and oh God, doom is around the corner. Well, that's exactly what you're contributing. I always bring it all the way back to the individual. You have to bring it back to that person in the mirror. I'm so sad. I don't know where the country is going. Woe is the country. Oh, God, it's horrible. Well, thank you for polluting my world. Did I say that out loud? You're not polluting my world. Whatever you're doing you're supposed to be doing it. I'm just explaining to you why you're feeling so angry. You're feeling so angry because you had a preference. You're feeling so angry because you attached yourself to the outcome. You're feeling so angry because you personalized this election. You're feeling so angry because you think this is so important. Listen, people, importance, this is so serious, this is so important. Trust me, there's nothing important and there's nothing that serious other than your peace and your happiness. See, that's serious. That's important. Everybody that's upset and everybody that's not upset, and the winners and quote unquote the losers, every single one of you people, every single one of you is allowing an outside force to affect how you're feeling. And the thing about that is, it's always going to be temporary. Because, see, what's going to happen 3 weeks from now, a month from now, 4 months from now, what's going to happen then? You're going to find something else to get angry about, something else to blame your feelings on. It's not the election. It's not what happened. It's not the future. It's really what's going on inside. This election just brought it out. This election was just the trigger to see where you really are. This election is the clue to see where you are in your growth. Where are you in your growth? That's a question for you to answer, you. Because if you're sad or you're bothered or if you are disappointed, then it's all on you. Then you've got things to practice. You want to eliminate all disappointment and heartbreak forever? Have no expectations. This election, people are being so because of the crash is because of the expectations and the preferences and thinking that it's important and personalizing all of those things. And if you're feeling any of it, and if you're feeling anything other than balance, and I mean on both sides, because we got the other side too. Jumping for joy, happy, and just jumping up and screaming and happy. Well, guess what? That's not going to last either, that feeling. It's really about foundational, where you are rooted. And where you are rooted depends on what you are doing and your work and what you are doing, not what anybody else does. So do you trust that everything that's happening is for the betterment of your growth, your personal growth? Do you trust that? Do you know that? Everything that happens to you is happening for your spiritual growth? Well, this election is the same thing. It's a chance for you to practice. It's a chance for you to realize that, wow, I'm affected by. So you're either living in the man-made world or you're living in a spiritual universal world. And if you're in a man-made world, and if you're living by man-made rules and you're being governed by or moved by or your words and all of your behavior is in other words, your behavior is because of this man-made world, then you're going to have a lot of disappointments. A lot. Investing in the man-made world, in the world of elections, and now this is going to affect me. You can, but the peace and the comfort is very fleeting. Control. Who is in control? The only thing I have control over is my perspective, my behavior, my words, my energy, my vibration. I don't have control over I haven't been able to control my thoughts, otherwise they'd all be really nice thoughts. So I'm not thinking I control, but I definitely have control over how much power I give those thoughts. That's it, people. Who are you is determined by your frequency, by your vibration, not by your words. And if you're vibrating acceptance and you're vibrating peace and you're vibrating trust and you're able to let go and surrender and you know that it is a bigger plan, guess what? You're going to have a lot of peace in your world. Trust me, a lot of peace. So the formulas for happiness are out there, and they have been proven based on the aftermath of this election. And let me just say this. If you've taken anything personally, if you personalize anything, you're driving on the street and they cut you off in traffic, is that personal? No, but if you choose to take it personally, then you're going to be insulted, and you're going to honk your horn, and you're going to get angry because you took it personally. Preferences, you have a preference. Oh, you rather this person than that person get elected? Good luck with that. Any preferences will subtract from your happiness. Any of them. Trust me, I've done the homework. I've done the research. I've done the research. Expectations. Having any expectations of anybody, what they're going to do, why they're going to do it, when they're going to do it, I expect them to win. Come on now. Eliminate all expectations of others and circumstances and any expectations of self. Relax, people. Relax. Let go. It's really time to sit back in that passenger seat and allow the universe to drive and trust and know that everything is happening for a reason. Whether you get it, whether you understand it, whether you like it or not. And your job is, your responsibility is to be the example of the universe. Not an example of a man. We've got a lot of people. We got a lot of people. And all of the protesters, go for it. Try, protest. But don't think that the reason why you're so angry and the reason why you're so pissed off is because of this election. It's deeper than that. Because if this election can do it, something else can do it again. And something else is going to happen. And something else is going to happen. That's why the detachment from circumstances, the detaching from what is happening is really a necessity. It's a detachment. Reality Spirituality is heard every Sunday at 7 a.m. Did I share enough? Now, if you've listened to this and you're angry or you don't agree or you're still upset, that's okay. I'm okay being alone on the island. It's okay. The reason why I was so upset is not because of who got elected. I was just so upset by the reaction. And the clear evidence that the majority, 98% of the population, is hooked in and is affected by things and circumstances. It's really a programming, people. You've been programmed to respond. You've been programmed to react. You've been programmed for all of it. And it's really the programming that bothers me. When you realize that it is a programming, that the reason why you're acting a certain way is because of a programming and not really because of what you think, there's going to be changes. And when you change, my dear audience, when you're more peaceful, and when you're more accepting, and when you let go of expectations, and when you detach, and when you have more trust in the universal plan, and you surrender and let go, and when you are more peaceful, the world will be more peaceful. There's no blame here. Anyone. There's a responsibility. You have the answer. You're the one that has to practice or not practice. But when you change, the world changes. And I'm committed. I'm committed to being as peaceful and just being that energy of acceptance and peace. That's it. That's my responsibility as the world's most famous, the only happiness specialist. Whew. My website is RebeccaNorrington.com. That's RebeccaNorrington.com. Email me at info@RebeccaNorrington.com if you've enjoyed the show, and I know you have. Go to Facebook, Reality Spirituality's Facebook page, and like Reality Spirituality. You can follow me on Twitter at RL Norrington. And I just want you to remember who you are. You are a physical extension of the universe. You're always changing. You're always growing. Love is patient and love is kind. Be patient and be kind to yourself. Be your own best friend. Remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. This is about the journey. This is about your contribution. This is about the person in the mirror. Reality, spirituality. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah. Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one now. Reality, spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Reality, spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Reality, spirituality. Oh, now we getting real. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get down. Yeah, you gonna feel good now. Real good. Now, that's what I'm talking about. Time to get real.